What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the first episode of MaddenCast for the Madden 22 MHU cycle. It's Vols here tonight. I have Beeman with me. How you doing, Beeman?
Doing all right, man. It's been a while.
It has. It's been quite a journey to this point for the off season of MHU. Glad to be here. Glad to get things rolling once again. Denham can't be here with us tonight, so it's just me and Beeman. We're just going to kind of go through and talk about some of the rule changes that the admin team met. I think first of the week, Sunday night, Monday night, something like that. Just discussed. We do it every year. Kind of discuss rule changes, anything that we learned from last cycle that maybe needed to be adjusted for this upcoming cycle. So we're going to touch on those tonight and kind of make the league aware of kind of where we're moving for this cycle. So we'll be really quick on the first thing. We got some yeses, we got some nos, and we'll just start with the nos. So first thing we're going to touch on is in-season fatigue. It's a new feature, I believe, that got introduced for this Madden 22 for next gen. Basically, throughout the season, your players, your star players, your bums, whatever, they could just tell you, they could pop up and just say, hey, I don't feel like playing. I'm too tired. So kind of talked about that. I'll let Beeman touch on it. Kind of reasons why we said no, but I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the more they play, the more tired they get to kind of mimic real life. But, it's week 16, your star players saying, hey, I'm too tired to play. Like, real life, that shit doesn't happen. And it's a new feature, and you got to assume that Madden's not going to do it correctly year one. So we just don't want to put people through that. So that's a hard no for us this year.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I mean, it's anytime they add something new, it's most of the time just completely wrong, and then they have to revamp it for about 3 or 4 years later. So we might use it in like Madden 24 or something. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
So that was it on the nose. So it's kind of good. I mean, I feel like we have a lot of yeses, so it kind of shows that we're open to change as far as a league standpoint. Some things, I think the majority of things that we kind of went towards, people are going to like. I mean, it makes sense. But I'm sure there's going to be a couple things that some people gripe about just because somebody will find something to gripe about, I'm sure. So let's jump straight into it. Devs, development upgrades. Um, Last cycle they introduced the ability to cap them. I think might have been in for 2 years. I'm not sure, but we've pretty much just had it at the max setting. Have as many superstars, X factors as we can in our league. In past cycles, I've always given out development upgrades for rewards, like trivia questions, whatever. None of that's going to happen this cycle. We're going to kind of keep it a little bit more realistic. We don't want 20 superstars and X factors on teams. Try to level the playing field a little bit. I think that's probably the number one thing from like a league standpoint that if I had to pick that the majority of the people probably won't, I think would be this probably. Um, so yeah, you want to touch on the just the development stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I'm gonna transition into one of the other things we talked about, if you don't mind, but when it comes to dev.
Yeah.
But I think, listen, we don't want one team with 20 superstars, 20 X factors, and your worst team with like one. So kind of makes sense. But if people earn that, right, we also don't want to limit it. So as far as like having a limit, I mean, we're probably just going to just let it be. We're obviously going to do less things outside of the actual playing the game Madden to give those people those types of rewards. But one thing we think that everyone's going to be happy about is that we are turning dev regression on. Madden has made a lot of changes to how that is working. I think people have complained in past Madden or last year Madden, like they can get the dev upgrade at the end of the year and then, dev down, which is just silly. But apparently this year they're going to really take into account age, players hitting their goals, which are, things that actually matter. And so we are going to have dev regression on. So you won't see free agent Tom Brady at 50, still an X factor, is the hope and the intent of that. So I think folks should be happy about that.
Yeah, and that should, keep players like I know JJ Watt, you've had him like year 4, I think, about every cycle, and he's still
Oh yeah.
95, 94 superstar X factor. I mean, we should see those guys realistically 4 years from now. They shouldn't be in the 90s. JJ Watt shouldn't be in the 90s now. So I mean, like, I just think it's going to be just a good thing for the league to have just the developments under control, more under control. I mean, we're still handing out chat activity rewards. And as far as rewards go for like shows, trivia shows, or I mean shows and then trivia in the shows, I'm gonna give out. Y'all seen I could give out XP. Like I might hit you with like 1,000 XP reward or something like that, which will ultimately lead to a development upgrade just with chat activity. So that's kind of our focus, I think, on in this cycle, anyways, is to try to. I think like a good number is like 5 on both sides of the ball, maybe. I mean, it really depends on how you kind of want to grow your team. But I mean, like 10 for a team, I think is a pretty good number for superstars and X factors. Like, I think that's realistic, not 15 or 20 or whatever we've had in the past. So, pretty excited about that. So we'll move on. That was kind of a in-depth one there. We'll move on to stat caps. Basically, we're just going to update the stat caps because there's 17 regular season games now. So we're going to take what we currently have, do the math. Amazon's not in the league anymore, so he won't be doing the math for us. Thank God. So we'll do the math, add the totals to the 16 games to get 17, and that'll be updated there. Number rules, or number rule, basically the NFL said you can have whatever number you want. We've had that number rule in the past. It kind of had to be realistic, so we're going to keep it realistic. Y'all can change numbers around, whatever. Go crazy with it.
Before you get to that next
Okay,
one,
go ahead.
do we want to bump up in that list? We skipped a big one, or do you want to save that?
I was gonna do trades next.
All right, we can do trades next. Well,
Okay,
we'll do the one right before trades.
Franchise players.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do franchise players now. So franchise players, I feel like probably the last 2 cycles have been. I mean, last cycle we put in the ability to trade one, which is pretty popular. Everybody kind of grinded for that. But I mean, they only lasted 2 seasons, and it was just kind of just a waste. And then the cycle before that, I think it was the same thing, 2 seasons. So kind of all met and decided we're going to do completely away with franchise players. And I'll let Beeman kind of fill y'all in on what we're going to go move forward with, probably in future cycles, I think.
Yeah, no. So we thought this was kind of nice for 2 different reasons. There are people in this league like me who like to take anyone who's over 25 and just completely trade them. Doesn't matter, dev overall. Like you want to completely make that team your own. So it's like you don't want to limit folks like that by saying, well, if he's 25 and he's your highest rated player, you can't trade. But there are also players that sometimes, for better or worse, will trade their best rookie player. And we're like, well, that is in reality the best part of your team. The rookies that literally your, real life teams just drafted. So we're like, we want to control something so that there are good players regardless on someone's team. If that, for whatever reason, that owner had to step away, someone inherits that team. Like, we want to make sure those teams are protected somewhat. So we said, all right, let's get rid of all the franchise players we have, like all the franchise player rules we have. I think right now we locked you guys to 3. We said, all right, we're only going to lock you to 1. And this one we thought was unique. So your highest rated rookie, doesn't matter dev, doesn't matter round who's drafted. So real life, highest rated rookie, real life, is locked to your team for 2 seasons. Now that does not change if that player does not develop in year 2. He is still locked to your team for 2 seasons. So just so I clarify that a little bit. So for me, I'm the Jags. If Trevor Lawrence stays a 76, because he's right now my highest rated rookie, and ATN becomes a 85 by season 2, Trevor Lawrence is still my franchise player for those 2 seasons. So after those 2 seasons, the rules are fair game. Everything goes away. You can do what you want with your team. But we thought it made sense to at least hold on to at least the crown jewel of your youth on your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it on the head. Like, I mean, kind of gives all the owners more freedom to do kind of what they want. And I mean, based on how many trades we had last cycle, everybody loves freedom. They want to build their team the way they see it. And I think this will only allow, you know, um, them that ability. So moving on from that, it's trades.
Trades. I'm just gonna jump in.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much. I told y'all at the admin meeting, I'm not in the trade committee. I don't want nothing to do with it, so I'm just gonna let you have the floor on this one.
Listen, I'm not gonna complain too much about last season. Last season, I think there's a couple things that were unfortunate. We had way too many like what I'll call just Lando trades, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna trade this, and I'll give you a dev upgrade. Like no more of that. Like stats and dev upgrades and trap reward activities cannot be part of your trades. Like I don't want to see that shit. That's just automatic tonight. In general, we spent a lot of time, whether or not Q feels like we did or not. We spent at least 15 minutes, and sometimes multiple days reviewing single trades. And it's good and bad. Like obviously, that means everything's getting examined. And in reality, no one's going to agree with whatever we decide, anyways. But we obviously took them very serious. But this year, in reality, I don't think people have time to spend that much amount of time on trades for a video game. So what we're going to do is we're going to be a lot. I wouldn't say looser, but we're going to review those trades a lot quicker. And so that means that you guys as GMs need to actually, you need to do what's right for your team. And we're going to trust that you're going to do what's right for your team. And we're not going to handcuff you too much. So like last season, we would say, oh, you're going to trade that guy for a second round pick. He's actually worth a third. That's not the type of feedback you'll see this cycle. We're going to let you guys have a little bit more freedom. We will. I'm not going to name folks, but there are some owners in the league that we know that aren't as what's the right way to say it? As good as me as a GM. I'll just say that, right? So like we're going to watch those trades and probably review those a little more in depth. But for the most part, if there's a couple owners that we just kind of know that you guys know what the hell you're doing when it comes to trading, like we're probably just going to approve it and not pay too much attention to it. But obviously, anything that seems like, hey, we're going to trade you, 99 overall player for a 7th round pick, like that's a deny. So just, I want you guys to understand that like this year, these trades are going to be a lot more in your hand to do what's right for your team and a lot less in our hands trying to control your teams. But so that means a lot of the onus on trying to make the right decisions on you guys. But I think we use a term in here that I'm not going to say on this. If there is that, we will catch that. Like we're not trying to get people to get taken advantage of, but if it's two known owners and they're doing their thing, or we're most likely going to let it fly unless it's way over the top, like I said. But if they're closer, those trades are probably going to get approved. Oh, and then one last thing. Sorry, before I forget. So for draft day trades and any trades during the draft or like before the draft day, like 1 hour beforehand is the deadline. So no more 30 minutes before draft can you make a trade or post a trade. We're just not going to review those. We'll just delete them. And we're like, honestly, like I said, the whole point of this is that guys don't want to spend too much of their freedom, reviewing 100 trades, spending a whole bunch of time. So that one I'm pretty serious about. So that is a cutoff. I will delete it myself if it's 58 minutes beforehand because I'm not going to review it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in it a whole lot as far as discussions on trades, but I definitely kind of could read up on the chat, and it was a lot of just kind of petty a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, just honestly, it was just took way too much time. I mean, there were literally some trades, like you said, that people would go to bed and then pick up the discussion the next day, and it would continue on throughout the day. So I think it's a good thing.
And your trade committee this season is myself, Prevel, and Wood. Of course, if there's folks in the trade committee trading amongst themselves, we'll have other admins step in.
Yeah,
if we feel like that's not enough people.
Yeah.
Yeah. if that's not enough people, we'll figure it out. But we feel like just keeping it just the three quick majority rules is kind of where we're headed. And honestly, like I said, how we're handling these trades, I think most of the trades we are looking at are going to be 3 yeses or 3 nos. Because like I said, we're not trying to babysit anyone here.
Right. I agree with you. And just to touch on the 1 hour before draft, like basically draft night, if it's set at 8 p.m., 7 p.m., I'm just going to the channel, cutting that shit on read only. You're not gonna be able to post. So that'll be pretty quick and simple there. All right, so we'll move on to the next. The next 2 things kind of run together, so we'll kind of just discuss both of them. Kind of hinted around in the chat about the past 24 hours about a new chat activity reward. Kind of wanted something for level 25 because last year level 30 was development, or not development, it was franchise players where you could trade one. 25 was development upgrade, kind of switched them, put the development at 30, but we were doing away with franchise players, so I didn't really have anything to put at 25, but kind of talking with the admins, we're going to change that and put this the new, whatever's at the level 25 is still staying there. This is just getting added to it. And that's going to have to do with player abilities. So let's talk about player abilities first, and then after we wrap that up, I'll kind of go into the reward, I guess, for level 25. So I'll let you talk about the player ability plan.
Yes. So Madden blessed us. Well, last season or last cycle, they blessed us with the ability free for all. Everyone can change their abilities, X factors, whatever, whenever they want. It's good and bad. But this year they gave us the ability as commissioners and admins of the league to shut that off. So it's just a toggle on and off to allow the coaches to change player abilities. Now I know there's heavy feedback on both sides, like the ability to do that and the ability to not do that. I want to talk a little bit about this one because I feel strongly on a couple things. So it doesn't feel really good when you take like a normal player or star player and you develop them and they get just worthless abilities. And we know what those worthless abilities are. Then you're just sitting there with a worthless X Factor or worthless superstar. So we don't want people to experience that, but we also don't want people to, every week to be like, hey, I'm playing Q this week. I gotta guard outside stretches, or I'm playing Bread this week. I got to guard, passes as much as runs, and we don't want people swapping player abilities from week to week. So what we implement this season is during the season, you are not able to change abilities. The abilities you get are the abilities you get. In the off season, you can change those abilities of your players, but once the season starts, they are locked. We are actually going to turn off the switch. So it's not a do we have to catch you type of thing. Like you won't have the ability to change. Obviously, what we're going to touch on in a sec here is the whole all right, what about hidden rookies, or breakout players? Like, well, what do we do about that? I'll hand it over to you, Vols, and we can talk about the level 25 chat activity stuff.
Yep. So the level 25 reward basically is gonna give you the ability to change one player per season in the regular season, because we're not going to be able to change anything in the regular season. But this will give you the ability to change one player only. The thing with that player, though, it has to they have to get a breakout. So if you have a star player that gets a breakout and you take them to superstar, then you can use it on them to change their abilities. Same thing if you have a player go from superstar to X Factor in a breakout, you can change their abilities in season. And then if that doesn't happen, and you drafted a rookie and he has hidden abilities, once they unlock, I think it's 500 plays, then at that point, um, you can use your reward on that player. But keep in mind, if that happens week 12 and you choose to use it on that hidden rookie, and then the next week you get a superstar X Factor breakout game, you've already used it. So you're kind of stuck. If your quarterback's going to go to X Factor and unlock an ability slot or something, then that's just going to have to wait till the off season. So that's going to be the reward for level 25 for the abilities. So, did you have more to touch on playability?
No, I think
Okay.
you nailed it. So like I said, folks, actually, one thing we should touch on just to clear things up. We start our Madden season 1 not in the off season. So if you guys listen to anything we just said the past 2 minutes, that means you are locked. Or player abilities those guys have stock is what you have.
Yeah.
Not until the first off season can you change those.
Right. Unless you get a breakout.
Level 25.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get a level 25 and have a breakout, or some of your hidden rookies. So something to grind for sure. So yeah. Let's see. We already touched on dev regression. That kind of
Yep.
got looped in. So, all right, let's wrap it up with a couple more things. And these were kind of two things that one thing it's kind of like a soft yes on, but we just kind of want to see the game drop and kind of see the settings for it and all that, and kind of do some simulations before we officially say yeah, it's gonna go forward with that. And that's gonna be the new feature that they've introduced this year, where kind of like so in past cycles or in past Maddens, you go in and you do your training. You try to get your bronze, your silver, your gold medal, or whatever you want to call it. Um, and if you're like me, the first week I get gold and gold on two different things, and that's what I do the rest of the season. I don't waste my time on it. I just do it the whole season, just those two things. From what I understand, they've completely just revamped that whole thing. And you can kind of pick to go basically how hard you want to practice. And you can pick full pads, like you're going to go hard as you can. We're gonna hit each other, that type of thing, and that's how you get the most XP. But you also risk, I don't think it's major injuries, but it's like minor injuries, like a player. I think I read it was 4 weeks. I think it's the most. Um, don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what I read. So it's like minor injuries where they're not going to tear their ACL, but they could, you know, have a sore knee or whatever and be out 2 weeks or something. And that's kind of like your gold standard there. And then you would have kind of what I would call your silver standard, and that's just what they call shells, helmets and shoulder pads. So kind of given the medium effort, you're going to get average XP, and then you're going to have about just an average chance to get injuries, 50-50 or whatever. And then you got your bronze. Practice, and that's you just going out there. We're throwing a helmet on. We're just doing walkthroughs. Nobody's getting hurt, but we're not getting any XP. Like we're getting very little. So um, we all kind of like that idea from it because it kind of gives everybody their own like choice of how they want to run their team. Do you risk it and go for the major XP, the max XP every week, and risk getting that injury, or you just play it safe and just get you know 200 XP, no injuries, and just go on to the next week. So that's a soft yes, but we just kind of want to get the game and run some simulations and kind of see what those injuries could be and definitely how long they could be.
Yeah, one thing I do want to just correct. Bull said 50-50 for the shell. Like we don't know the percentages, and that's why we want to the simulations. It's not like you have a 50% chance.
Yeah,
We actually
I
don't
was
know.
just throwing 50-50 out just because in my mind it would be like if I
Listen,
had to assume, you know what I'm saying?
Crybaby Q is going to hear that and overreact. I just want to clarify.
Probably,
So
yeah. Yeah, I
we
mean,
like
that's, go ahead.
we like it. We think it's interesting. High risk, high reward. But we also don't want it. We don't want injury shouldn't happen a lot in practice in general. And so like we're just going to do some quick simulations. If it seems like you get injured way too often when you do full pads, probably going to turn it off. But we just want to check it out for ourselves. So more to come on that particular rule. But like I said, like Will said, right now it's probably a soft yes. But we got to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, if we do that first simulation and like Justin Fields tears his ACL, we're just like probably just gonna shell it and just forget about it.
After week one, it's like Justin Fields gets hurt. Like, yeah, okay, that's off.
Yeah, so we'll see, kind of, because I mean EA, like we touched earlier with the what was it that was new? It was like the first in season
In season fatigue.
anything new who knows how their formulations and calculations and all that's going to work, honestly. So
Yeah.
they can say one thing and then give a completely different product. So,
All right.
all right. So the last thing,
Well, I'll touch on this one if
go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
I'll let you have it because you've kind of played in leagues with it where I haven't. So go for it.
Actually, I haven't.
Have you not? I thought I figured you had.
Play limit / play cooldown. So this is, I don't think something in our league necessary, like I don't think people in here will run the same play. Sorry, I don't think a majority of people will run the same play, 10, 15 times. But we do, it's one of the rules. Like we want people to mix it up. We think on offense, setting a play limit, not a cooldown. I think just limits what we decided. We think is the right thing to do. Obviously, that makes defense. You got to get a lot more creative, right? Because the limit impacts defense as well. But we are going to implement a play limit. It's a 5-play limit. So, folks that aren't familiar with this feature, you have the ability to set a max number of offense and defense plays that someone can run during a game. On average, you're probably getting 40, 50 plays. So we think five plays is probably, it's a good amount. It's not hindering anyone. It's not going to completely kill you. I know that some of us, quote unquote, like our money plays. You can still run those a few times, but 5 just seemed like a good number. Also, keeping in mind the fact that it does impact your impact your defensive play. So, folks that like to come out and sit in the same nickel formation or the same, 3-4 or 4-3 formation with the same play, you're not going to be able to do that. You're really going to have different formations. But the beauty of our league is we allow custom, so it should be pretty easy to not have that hinder your play style too much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree
Anything?
with you. Like, I mean, I'll be the first. I mean, I don't even have to admit it. Everybody knows that I love to set in 3-4 defense cover three or nickel cover three. Like, I mean, that's no secret. And that's going to cause me to. I'm gonna have to run if I want to run cover three the whole game. 75, 80% of the time, I'm gonna have to, switch it up as far as formations, um, and just change it up. And I think that's kind of where we're going. Where we want to go with this is kind of. I mean, majority of us use custom playbooks, and more than likely all of us have it full with 500. But yet we're only in a season. You're probably not even running more than I would say 100 plays out of that playbook. Just because we all kind of find certain plays that we love, that we go to, money plays. Um, and I think this will just help kind of like get more in depth into that playbook. So kind of excited about it. And kind of interested to see what how the league feels about it because it's one of those things that it's like a soft yes. I feel like if we got a lot of, I don't really want to say pushback, like we might look at it, maybe change some things, but I mean, all the admins kind of felt good about it, and we kind of want to see it happen. So I think it's probably going to happen.
Yep. But
So
as always, when you guys listen to us, if we have 32 owners telling us, well, yes, minus the admins, a
right,
bunch of owners telling us that this is wrong, we shouldn't do this, yada yada, we'll reconsider. But I would ask that folks, let's give it a chance. Right? These are new rules. We're always switching things up. We're always listening. And I think honestly, a lot of the things we actually implemented was a lot of hearing feedback from you guys. The play cooldown or the play limit, the dev regression, um, swapping player abilities. I think a lot of that actually is directly feedback from you guys. So just before you over rotate on it, just think about it. But appreciate you guys as always.
yeah, for sure. I mean, just kind of wanted to come, the first MaddenCast and kind of just touch base on league news, new rules, stuff like that. So goal right now, I don't really have a time frame as far as is this going to be a weekly show every 2 weeks. Don't have a clue right now, but I will say it's closer to launch, not Madden launch, but MHU launch, whether that be 1st of September, middle of September. We're going to look to try to get MaddenCast. Probably the majority of them going to be pre-recorded, once a week type thing. with maybe a live show here and there. But we'll see how it plays out. Definitely want to do more MaddenCast this cycle than we did last cycle. So appreciate you, Beeman, being on with me tonight. Kind of touching base on all these rules and going in depth on some of the things. So I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you all for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Check out our awesome merchandise up in the top. I guess it'd be your right corner if you're looking at it. See if you see anything you like. Till next time, Zval signing out. See ya.